Hello, so I thought I'd do a bit of a video on how I edit work and give students some feedback, and quite a lot of this feedback applies to everyone. So this is the first draft that I've got, and I'm going to take you through some of the suggestions. So students looking at this artist called Jeffrey Ricardo, and they make stamps or prints or imprints or whatever you want to call them, copies of teddy bears by inking them up and putting them through a press. So a couple of things. Let's start with my first layer here. All right, so every time you use an image, if possible, add some kind of label underneath. The one that is most important and the full one would be the title of the piece. Let's say that's Bunny Rabbit. The media would be ink on paper and the year 2010. If you don't know what an image is called, you can just write unknown. Sometimes work isn't titled, so you can just call it untitled. Okay, so when I was looking through the first paragraph is the one, and this is usual, which is probably not the strongest. The strongest paragraphs tend to be as the student relaxes a bit. So Jeffrey Ricardo, a restless and compelling artist. So here, I'm not sure if that does add anything. A restless and compelling artist, because the student doesn't tell us why maybe they think the artist is restless or compelling. Again, starts talking about he's a printmaker. He's produced the first major body of prints in 1989, where he graduated from. He was a printing assistant. Not necessarily relevant to what the student's interested in. So I know from the student's project that they are interested in childhood, and they are interested in the idea of bears and the idea of things aging. So that is, if that's your theme, then you kind of can link this back into your artist research. So while the artist's focus isn't solely on printmaking, I find his work in printmaking to be inspiring. So be careful of repetition, especially that close together. Using a thesaurus, you can find alternatives just because it gets a bit tiring for the reader. So while the artist's focus isn't solely on printmaking, I find his work, you could just say that, to be inspiring for this theme that I have chosen, which focuses on stuffed animals and how they change over time. Okay, not bad. The artist links to my theme as, right, don't write that. You don't have to write the artist's full name, just write their second name. So the artist links to my theme. Ricardo has created prints using stuffed animals, just like I have. He has used ink, white and black, on contrasting paper to create a print that stands out against the background. His prints. So if you use a word multiple times, then it can become quite tiring to read. So what do? You go on to a thesaurus, you just Google the word, and now I've just underlined the ones that I think are really helpful. So you've got copy, reproduce, imprint, stamp, footprint, mark, impression, and these can be used where you feel necessary and where they make sense in the sentence. Because as you can see here, the students wrote print, 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 and that's okay. I used to do this myself. It's nothing to be embarrassed of, but I'm trying to give you all some generalized feedback that's going to help everybody to write quicker and write better. Okay. I really like his printmaking work, and I have found that the texture, don't need the S, he is able to capture really, might need an S there, really adds to the effect of the print. If you keep saying print, you could change that to work. You could change it to image, as it can help to highlight how stuffed animals have been changed over time and how their fur has become matted and old. I really like that bit. I also like how he's able to capture smaller details of the stuffed animals, such as their eyes, noses, and accessories, like the ribbon on the bear. I feel these aspects really complete the artwork and create a very interesting and unique effect. Okay, I hear that a lot. What does that mean? With the different ways the ink reacts to the fabric, such as the fur, the plastic eyes, and the nose. Some things that confuse me about the artwork is why he might have created it and the meaning behind them. So this is where I had a look and there is stuff to look through. There is research. So this student is classic, needs to read a bit more. I also wonder how he's been able to capture the detail, the textures and the details so clearly using ink. So if I go onto my other layer here, if you go onto his website, I've taken a screenshot of a video that comes up. All right, there's a video here that shows exactly how he makes them and the process. So please include screenshots. On the artist's website, there is a YouTube video. In it shows how print is made. So the video itself, in order to get more writing, because I can tell from this research as well that this student wants to write more, they really want to do well, and so they've asked for help, you know, and that's good. Questions about this video. There was music being played in the video. Does that change the tone? How does it change it? So you need to deconstruct what you're watching. You need to actually take a step back and think, there's a video. How is it being shot? What does it sound like? What did the artwork remind you of? What is the tone? Is it funny? Is it sad? Is it upsetting? Is it a mix of those things? Does this work remind you of a scene in a movie like Toy Story or something? If so, have an image. I think this is a visual course, so include images. It might look a little bit like an X-ray. Therefore, don't assume that your ideas are naff. Your ideas and your reactions to things are actually probably spot on. So if you think it looks like an X-ray, then find an image of an X-ray, and that will then, your research will evolve and it will become more in-depth, more interesting for you and more interesting for the person reading it. There's another little bit right down here. Might not have noticed rather than of noticed. So the written work that we do here is a little bit more formal than if we were speaking, but I don't need you to write me an essay, and I don't need you to do Harvard referencing or anything like that. So I'm going to send this back to the student now with these notes, and I'm going to suggest that the student they read more about the artist, take their time, and they try and find maybe 3 quotes from the artist or from someone talking about the work where they talk about something that relates back to this idea, stuffed animals and how they change over time. So I hope you find that helpful, and yeah, thank you very much.